Thanks for tuning into Heavy, where we bring you the latest interviews with local, national and international artists. Today's victim is...
My name's Cam. I'm the singer in Motherslug. Over to you, Nick.
Yeah, I'm Nick, the drummer, the skins man.
Yep, and we're just about to release our third album, Blood Moon Blues, coming out on the 20th of August.
Beautiful.
Available globally on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all of those wonderful platforms, and Bandcamp.
Fantastic, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
No worries.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so as you mentioned, Motherslug will release your third album, Blood Moon Blues, this Saturday, August the 20th. So there's some nice alliteration going on there in the title, guys.
The Blood Moon Blues, yeah. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, actually.
It is.
It's difficult to say sometimes. But we struggled for an album title for quite a while.
As we always do.
Yeah. And we had some horrible suggestions early up. I think we're following along in the lines of Electric Dunes of Titan from the previous one. I think the first suggestion we had was the Nubian Pyramids of Kush, which is actually a real place. But it sounded a little bit airy fairy, really. And we had another one in there for a while, and just came up with them one day, Blood Moon Blues. And it's like, the Blood Moon is, it's a bit old now, I guess, but it was happening around the time we were writing these songs. So, it's kind of appropriate, even though it's long gone now. But yes, Blood Moon has affected my life in a couple of ways. Not to be esoteric or, read into, astrology or any of that kind of stuff, just coincidental. But every time it came around, something bad happened. So Blood Moon Blues seemed kind of appropriate.
Very cool. So tell us a bit about the album from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it.
Nick, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, sure. So look, it really is it just feels like a natural continuation from our last album, and we haven't really tried to write anything different. It's just the way that the songs we've written. But I would have to say, on reflection, looking back at the album, is a lot of diversity in there, and really playing with light and shade, probably a bit more than we did in the previous album. I think that's just an evolution of us as musicians and as a band, holistically. But I wouldn't say there's any particular theme that we've sort of had in the back of our mind when we're writing these tracks. Again, they've just sort of come up organically in the way that we would normally have written any other album. But yeah, just has produced something different to all our other releases, which is, to me, a good sign that there's evolution, and we're not stagnant playing the same old riff over and over.
Yeah, we got a couple of pretty old songs on there. I guess that just sort of adds to that variety. We're playing them in the new style, obviously, what we play now. But some of those songs, like Push the Venom, is pretty old. Deep in the Hole is probably the oldest one. Oh no, Evil's real old, isn't it?
Yeah. There's some that we had that, after the release of the previous album, we were still writing. So we had songs pretty much straight away, and threw them into our live sets occasionally, and they hung around. And until we collected enough songs to put together an album, they kind of just stuck with us, and we've been playing for a while. And I think, we've had a while to collect these songs because, we've had... We were supposed to go into the recording studio in April 2020, and of course, the world went to hell and everyone was locked down and everything like that. So that's changed the whole plan of recording. So we've had a lot longer to do this record, perfect the songs and sort of put our little spin on them than we would normally have had. So which is good and bad in ways.
Yeah, definitely the post-production side of it. Like after the actual 2 days of tracking at Newmarket Studios, we were basically just in between lockdowns. Whenever we could get over to Matt Dawkins' home studio, go in there and do some overdubs, a bit of vocal, bit of guitar, bit of whatever needed to be done. And once we had the luxury of that extra time, it was real sort of just wait until the lockdown ends and then get in there and do as much as you can, get locked down again, wait another 3 months, get in there again, do some more stuff. Because the thing with the lockdowns was that we couldn't rehearse as well as, like, not only just get into the studio and do stuff. So yeah, it was just a long drawn out process, really. I think Melbourne, the most locked down city in the world during the pandemic, and we definitely felt it, trying to get this done during that time.
Yeah. And the press release says Blood Moon Blues is a densely packed ride with lonely melodies lurking within a seething swarm of huge tones. Like, that sounds awesome, guys, but can you translate it English for us?
Yes, Dicey's fast and loose with the words there. And I think it's a that description for sure. But I guess putting it into like real world terms, it's a really heavy album. It's a lot of really heavy moments on there. And with that variety that we were just talking about, getting some lightness in there as well, some acoustic tracks on there.
It's got some of our heaviest moments and some of our softest moments, I think. In the one album.
Absolutely. And it does kind of swing back and forth between the two. That roller coaster of just trying to create a great listening experience as well. Like 12 tracks, quite a lot. It's an over an hour of running time, and I think we've all got a bit of ADHD these days. It's to get through an hour of music, it's unless you're doing something else and it's on in the background. It's pretty rare you sit down and listen to a 12-track album from start to finish. But we really did want to construct that kind of listening experience so that you do have that ups and downs, and get that real sort of energy from the fast tracks, and then mellow out for the the milder ones. And I don't know if that translates that.
That's a lot easier to understand than what Dicey wrote, believe me. So Motherslug fall under the banner of psych, doom, stoner type rock. So how healthy is that scene in Australia, and what do you think can be done to sort of further nurture it?
Oh, mate, it is awesome here. I can't say enough good things about the bands we have over here, and even just in Melbourne, it's a thriving scene. I recently in another band played in we had Doom in June, which was 10 bands, all sort of underground doom, stoner sort of stuff, in one day, and just the quality of it is world class, really is. In Australia, some of the bands, and I'll just ramble off a couple, but Potion, Mammon's Throne, Jack Harlan and Dead Crows, Plan of the Eights, and then even some of our crossover, you've got Death Doom, like Carcinoid, and that type of stuff. It's really well represented here, and I feel really lucky. You can go out on pretty much most weekends and just get some just real class acts of it. But to answer your question about what can be done to improve that over here, I think and I've seen it more and more that we're getting recognition over here, and in things like the Doom charts. There's people always talking about when there's a release from Australia, it's becoming more and more apparent that this is good quality stuff that comes out frequently. And I think people are starting to pay attention. It's no longer all coming out of California or something like that, or out of the UK. Yeah,
there's definitely I think the real key to push it out to the, I don't want to say mainstream, but just to a wider audience generally, is things like we saw Spicks and Specks this week. They had a gazillion Angry Mexicans on there. Okay, yeah. I just was watching it today. They're doing a cover of Sia's Chandelier. I mean, that's what we need to basically push this out, because I think if you talk to the general public, people don't go and see the gigs. They're not hanging around the Tote and the Bendigo and stuff. They just don't know that these bands exist. There's no, I don't know how many comments I've read on forums and stuff that are like, oh, there's no good bands these days. Have you been out there? Have you been to a venue? Like, because there literally are dozens of fantastic bands.
So many good ones.
But yeah, it's that key is getting it onto that mainstream media. getting it out there, getting in front of people's eyeballs, letting them know that, hey, we actually exist. We're out there playing gigs, maybe not now, but, used to be every week, every couple of weeks. And just a plethora of music out there for people to get into. And particularly this genre is just because everyone's, a total gig pig to get out and see bands and play in bands and do that whole thing. It's just a really healthy scene, I think, in Melbourne, at least. Anyway, I can't speak for Sydney or anywhere else, but in Melbourne, it's gangbusters, Yeah.
And can I just add to that? It's super supportive. Everyone supports each other's band. Everyone, has nice things to say. Everyone's real encouraging and, hang out at the gig afterwards, that type of stuff. You're pretty good friends with most of the other people in the scene, and, you can go to any gig on a weekend and run into people, and they're all, musicians. All bands are seeing other bands go play on the weekend and that type of stuff. So it's a real community. It's not just, a bunch of people who get up on stage and then go home. They're really part of the sort of the whole music scene. Absolutely.
Good to hear. And speaking of live shows, mate, you guys are officially launching Blood Moon Blues at the Sunburn Festival in Melbourne on the same day the album's released. So tell us a bit about that show.
I'm going to search the page. Because I got caught up on this last time.
So it's a 2-day. I suppose you can call it festival, but it's the at a venue, and across Friday and Saturday, there's heaps of great bands, and I think it's based on a festival that generally happens in Canberra. I think we had one in Canberra earlier this year. And that was, again, a couple-day event with lots of heavy bands. So this is, they're calling Sunburn Light because I think it's got half the number of bands, but it's still a really solid lineup. And, we are playing on the Saturday, and we're playing with Dr. Colossus and Potion, as well as a bunch of other bands that day. But it's going to be a great event. They've done really well to capture a good, chunk of good heavy bands that sort of represent a few different genres of the heaviness there as well. It's not all just stoner doom. So yeah, looking forward.
I've got the page up now. Let me run through the lineup. On Friday night, we've got we start off with religious observance, and I mean, that's just this kind of a signpost of how good this is. That the first band is religious observance on the Friday night. Now, those guys have been around for years and playing lots of other bands, but they are absolutely top of the line. Then we've got Atolla, Goat Shaman, Elusive Fungus, and Whitehorse, another world-class band, Whitehorse. Day 2 on Saturday, we're starting off with Ghost Smoker, who are a great new band. Mourners, Master Leonard, who have not heard of them, been keen to catch their set. Then Smoke Witch, who are another awesome band. Hydronaut, Motherslug, don't know about those guys. Potion. Pod People, unfortunately, have had to drop out due to some COVID reasons. And then headlining of the night is, of course, Dr. Colossus, who are another world-class band.
Fantastic, man. Good bunch of guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually remember we used to play with a couple of members of the band. They used to be in a death metal band called Xenos.
Right.
Back in the day, yeah, we used to play gigs with them about a decade ago or so.
Is that true? I didn't know that. So Dr. Colossus, those dudes were from Xenos.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we played a gig with them at Idgaff. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that venue, Chris, and an old venue in Melbourne. Idgaff. I don't give a flying.
You can say it.
Yeah, it was a great gig, and yeah, I think Az was the singer for Xenos that night. He'd lost his voice, so someone just jumped up and sang his set. Az plays in Carcinoid these days.